people talking about their startups or their businesses, they're not really mentioning harder decisions. It's usually, hey, we're great, we're amazing, we're doing awesome, and we never mess up. And so I think just being honest, being real, and saying, hey, it was a situation where we paused for a minute. It was like, okay, what do we do?
Yeah.
And I think we started off by asking the question, okay, what's the least we can do to resolve the problem and end it? But that's a different question than what's the right thing to do.
That's wow. Yeah. That's jumping right into the right
You
into
know?
it. I mean, yeah, you're right.
And so I think like my mindset is I think that it's just a matter of ethics and integrity, and I think that decisions now play a role in decisions in the future, and that's a tone that I think we set.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. One.
Yeah, I said something like, "Hey, baby, we're back, baby."
Well, what do you think? Sunglasses or no sunglasses?
Sunglasses or no sunglasses? What do we think? What do we think? Are
Probably no
sunglasses
I would say.
or no sunglasses?
I think no sunglasses.
On or off?
Go get close.
Onward
and upward.
and upward. Let's go left. Well, not let's go left. Now let's go left. Okay.
Yeah, let's go left. Why not?
All right. Another Founders Drive. Welcome back.
Again, another week.
Welcome back. Yes. This has been a trying week, to say the least. A trying week.
Yes, it's been a lot of fun. Do you want to break down kind of what's happening?
Sure. I mean, I'll give a high level, and I think we can probably then use that as a launch pad to kind of talk at a larger scale. But so we had some scammers on our platform.
Fraudsters.
Yes, and I'll leave it at that because I don't want to give any ideas out here.
Right.
But it left us with a decision of, one, we kind of benefited indirectly from the fraud, and so we were left with a decision of whether or not to just refund completely, keep our share, and refund a partial amount. And we ended up refunding the full amount because that's what we believe is the right thing to do, especially given the type of situation that happened on our platform.
Yep.
And we thought that we're still resolving some of it.
Yes.
But we thought that it would be a good discussion to talk about, because that's not something that you really hear about on people talking about their startups or their businesses. They're not really mentioning harder decisions. It's usually, hey, we're great, we're amazing, we're doing awesome, and we never mess up. And so I think just being honest, being real, and saying, hey, it was a situation where we paused for a minute. It was like, okay, what do we do?
Yeah.
And I think we started off by asking the question, okay, what's the least we can do to resolve the problem and end it? But that's a different question than what's the right thing to do.
That's wow. Yeah, that's jumping right into it. I mean, yeah, you're right.
And so I think my mindset is I think that it's just a matter of ethics and integrity, and I think that decisions now play a role in decisions in the future, and that's a tone that I think we set, because I think when we're confronted with situations that are similar in the future, we want to make sure that we know where we stand, and we're clear of mind, we're clear conscious, and we're not playing that game. We're taking the high road because we're choosing to do that. And yeah, man, I think especially early on as a startup, and when you start seeing signs of money coming in or whatnot, it's something that, again, it makes it a little bit more difficult because you're grinding. And I think it was Elon that said, running a startup is like chewing on glass and looking into the abyss or something of that variety.
Yeah.
I don't completely agree with that because I think it could be like that, but that's also the the sign of passion and endurance and being able to push through the suffering, because it's either you suffer doing something you love or you suffer doing something you hate.
That's very true.
But
Yeah.
but I do think that when you are in that midst of it and you have a minute of relief, it's like it's so easy to look at that and say, I want to go and take it. But I think that there's the discipline that we exercise to be able to say, hey, this is something that, you know, we don't even want on our record. We want to do this shit legit, and we want to whoop ass doing this shit legit.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of the mindset that we have. So that's like the high level. It's just we had a situation, and, you know, being an early startup, it was just really easy to look and say, hey, we want to take that.
Yeah.
But, you know, but after sitting back and saying, is that something that we really want to have on our record?
Yeah, I think like when you're a startup and you are struggling to survive, keep your head above water, it's increasingly hard to throw the life raft back. You know, if you're drowning,
Yeah.
or maybe, you know, someone around you is drowning, right? It's like, you know, there's a certain part of you that's like, hey, like, we are making money here, and they did process this on our platform, so, you know, we need that life raft.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, and I think also, just to also add on to what you were saying, some people would, you know, kind of skip over the point, kind of downplay it, be like, oh yeah, like, it happens to everyone, like, you know, Amazon has fraud,
Yeah.
this happens to everybody.
Yeah.
But, you know, I also think it's a moment of reflection that is one of the reasons why we're talking about it on a platform like this, is that, like, the moments when this happens in a startup is one of the beginning moments of how you define your culture.
Facts.
And
Yeah.
that is super important to both of us, building a company that has the right culture from the outset, and not something that we're going to try and retrofit after.
Yeah, because I think it's hard to do that, and I think
It's almost impossible.
in culture is culture is decision making. It's
Yes.
it's like the summation of decisions that are made within a company,
Yeah.
and that goes you
All the way
know,
to the top.
exactly facts, and it's before the decision and after this, everything leading up to a
Yes.
decision and everything after the decision is the culture. That's what we experience, but it's at the heart of it is a decision. Somebody decided to do this one thing, whether it's inside or outside, and this is how we responded.
Yep.
And or like this is how we were prepared to, you know, make a decision. And so you can't really get away from it. And I also think it's like you're only cheating yourself. Like,
Exactly.
You were talking a little bit about a sports analogy, which I thought was really good. But if you want to bring that up, but
Yeah, I think it's a Kobe line, right? Where in practice, you know, watching people doing suicides on a basketball court. Some people go all the way to the line, some people go right before the line, some people go after the line. And, you know, in those drills, especially when nobody's watching, you're only cheating yourself and essentially the team if you're the one that's not getting all the way to the line.
yeah,
You're cutting short that drill, you're cutting short your practice, which is going to cut short your performance in a game, right? And so just the same analogy around, like, essentially the sportsmanship that we're going to display even when the ref isn't watching
yeah,
is super important to us, and not in a way that we're going to puff out our chest and say, hey, look at how virtuous we are, you know, but in a way that's like, hey, like, we are making a solid decision here to go in this direction,
Yeah.
when we could have gone in a bunch of different directions.
facts.
Yeah.
And as you were saying that, like also think things come to light. Like in sports, if you're cheating yourself in practice, it's going to come out in the game. If you're
Yeah.
not touching the line every time, you're not getting the workout that you needed.
Yep.
And so when it comes game time, you're not going to have the wind that you needed. And it might not be in the first few games, it might not be against lesser opponents, but when you reach and you meet an opponent that is better than you, or a moment that is trying, you're not gonna be up to par. And if
Yep.
it's not physically, it might be mentally. Man, I
Right.
wish I would have, like, I'm tired right now. It's probably because I didn't touch the lines in practices or I skipped. And I think that's also the same with in the business world.
Yeah.
Is you might be able to get away with it for a little bit, but when you miss the line the first time, or you skip it, it's easier to justify it the next time. Oh, I'm not going to touch
Absolutely.
it. And then it's easier to get away with more things. Oh, I performed pretty good and I
Hmm.
didn't touch the line, so maybe it doesn't really matter that much, but it does. And I think it's visible to people that you're aspiring to get into, or the circles that you're aspiring to get into. It's visible when you cheat,
Yeah,
and it's visible when you don't, when you're not, when you don't have the integrity. Like, it shows,
it definitely
you know,
does.
and you can feel it, and your decision making gets off because that's occupying space in your mind. And so I think it's like a lot of times people will talk about just doing it because you want to be a good person, which I think is a great thing. But I think also just practically, if that's not the type of person you are, because that's not the type of person for everybody, it takes up bandwidth. Even if you're
Yes.
not consciously aware of that
Right.
bandwidth, it takes up bandwidth because it's a contradiction in terms of like how you're playing versus how you're um, the business game or like a sports game, and versus how like
Train.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, it's
yeah,
very interesting to me. Like, I think when this happened, we were talking about it, and it was pretty immediate, right? It was like, hey, like that's an easy decision for us. We know what we want to do,
yeah,
and a lot of the follow up stuff, which is why we're still dealing with it, is like, we know what we want to do. Now, how do we do that with our payment processor?
yeah, yeah,
Which is another headache in and of itself.
yeah, yeah.
But it's also very interesting to me, like you said, like if this is not where your mind is just naturally at,
Hmm.
you're going to use what happens, right, in a fraud or any kind of illegitimate business, dealings, and it's going to weigh on you. You're not going to sleep soundly at night.
Yeah.
And that's going to affect your performance in every other spot of business, even if you tell
Yes.
yourself, no, no, like I'm good. I'm
I'm
good.
good. Like, I don't give up. I don't give up.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
said. But like, I don't give up.
Right,
You
right.
know, and they don't. That definitely plays a part. And so, yeah, man. I think like all in all, it's like just doing the right thing. It's like it's
Yes.
always easier to do the right thing when there's no
When there's a camera on you.
yeah and there's no temptation when it's like
Yeah.
it's not something that you want.
And that guy, I think, what really hit home was like going back to this, thinking about like drowning as a startup.
Yeah.
It's like it's real hard
Yeah.
to be like, yeah, yeah, I don't need that life raft.
Yeah,
When you're
yeah.
trying to keep your head above water. It's
Yeah.
one of those things that, like, you really have to be strong in your convictions and say, no, like, we're gonna do this for the right reasons.
Yeah. And so, yeah, man, I like
Yeah.
I have a strong belief that like ends up panning out. I think
Yeah, of course.
part of it, the good, the one thing is that because I liked seeing that number go up so much, but I didn't want to get the reward by the way that it came.
Right.
I'm so driven right now to make it happen by like the right route now. So
And it
that's
showed us
like
how
one
easy it
benefit.
is.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
It's like when it happened, like the system works,
Oh,
which is
perfectly.
great. So that's good. It's like the system like works. So that means that we can now it's just getting it to the right people and sifting through
Yes.
like the billions of people that are in the world and finding the people that say, hey, you could benefit from this because we've seen other people benefit from it, albeit not in the right way. And so how can we really double down on those efforts? And that
Yes.
was really cool. It was like a glimmer of, it was a silver lining there.
Yes.
And so yeah, man, it's like the dealing with temptation, I think, is important, but I do think that things always come out. We saw that with Twitter and
Yeah.
the fake accounts that they had before, and that played a role.
Oh, yeah.
Fake accounts. See that with, this is a little bit more controversial, but you see that with Doge, where they're like digging through stuff and they're like, this stuff isn't adding up. Like
Yeah.
the stuff doesn't add up, and it might not be the first decision they made, but it might have been like the 20th decision that they made.
Yeah.
And I think also in a leadership position, why it's so crucial to have integrity is if you don't, then it's really easy to become hypocritical.
Yes.
Because if you see somebody else messing up, who's might be a junior, who might be like the 10th employee or the 100th employee, and you're telling them not to do stuff, but in the back of your mind, you know that that's BS on your part. You might still say it, but it's going to be coming from a weaker conviction because you're not fully convinced that you should be saying that, or that you have the
Yeah.
right to say that.
Exactly. And that's where the culture starts to break down. And that's where you start having to retrofit culture into an organization that might make it.
Yeah.
And it's never fun.
Yeah.
It's not the way that we want to build a company. It's not the way we want to do business.
Yeah, exactly. So if you are somebody that wants to do business with some upstanding, integral people, then reach out. And I think that that is like a qualifier. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
that's what we expect, and that's what we want to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that's pretty good this week.
Yeah.
And if you guys are watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Well, actually, we have the Super Secret Podcast.
Now where can they find that?
Well, you can find that on constants.com. If you click that link down low, we'll be going more in depth with this, and we'll be talking about some more specific stuff. But yeah, if you just want to even just have a conversation with us, you know where to find us. It's not going to cost you anything. So,
Cool.
peace.
Peace.